Hey everybody, so good to be here. We had a couple minute delay. I think we're all good. If you're seeing me on Facebook, give me all the love. Please, if you're seeing me live, I know a lot of people are going to be watching this replay. Guys, if you're watching the replay, please comment and say, hey, my name is whatever, I'm tuning in from wherever you are. Let us know you're watching the replay. Share your thoughts, share your experiences. Hey, Brianna, so good to have you here. So good. So if you're watching live, always let us know. Or if you're watching the replay, let us know that you were there. Oh, Heather's there from Ephraim, Utah. Kristen's here. So good to have you here. Ashley's here. There's always that delay too. So like, if I'm saying your name like so long after you were already there, just know there is that delay. But anyone that's hopping on, or if you're watching the replay, say hello. Okay. My name is Robyn Whitworth. I created the Elevated Mother Collective. And I'm a CEO of the RRW Support Network, LLC. Becca Ingersoll's here. So good to have you guys here. It's so fun. It is a good day to have a good day. Absolutely. And I'm the CEO of a couple programs. The Elevated Mother Experience, where you can come in and learn all this stuff with coaching, with the whole program. But today is a little snippet, 5 principles that I teach inside the program that will affect your income, okay? And, oh, thank you, Jenny. This looks so beautiful, so great. You guys are always so nice. I feel so good. Feel so supported. As I was preparing for this, I know a lot of people, and I would love for you to participate with me in this. Just a little calm down moment I know this because when I created this community, when I created this program, when I created this in my brain first, I saw it in my imagination. I saw it on the screen of my mind. And I said, someday I will be teaching classes to moms about this because I was struggling through it. But I've learned these principles. I have put them into practice and they work. Okay. But I wanted to let you know that little back piece because a lot of people feel a certain desperate desire around money. And anytime you resonate with what I'm talking about, please open up the vulnerable gates of your heart and receive this information into your soul and share. Say, I feel this, I resonate, I hear what you're talking about. If you have questions, put them in the chat, okay? But a lot of people have this desperate desire or even anxiety, even depression, hopelessness, a heightened sense of awareness around money. And so I would love us to take a moment to just like get really, really present. Hey, Serena, get really, really present in this moment. Okay. Those of you that know me well, you know I'm not afraid of silence. Get really present in this moment right now. September 22nd, listening to Robyn. I'm in this room. Maybe you're sitting down, maybe you're driving, I don't know. But really get present with why you came to this class. Like really, why does it matter? You guys are all really amazing, aspirational, busy mothers. Why would you take time out of your Friday morning, or if you're watching the replay, right? Whatever time you're taking to watch this, why? Why are you doing this right now? If you know, put it in the chat. If you know, put it in the chat and share, because some people need context. Some people are like, man, I don't know. Just curious. And that can be your answer. If you're just curious, that's great. But I'm going to share with you that just being curious is one thing. It's a certain energetic wavelength. When you are in full willingness and acceptance, that's a different wavelength, reaching higher towards the wavelength of wealth, like monetary vibration. So if it's like, dude, whatever Robyn says, like, I'm really going to let it roll around within me. I'm not just going to let it be this nice thing I see and then I'm going to walk away. And it's okay if that's your experience today, if you're just totally here for curiosity. But just take a moment, get really present. Becca says, I want to manifest more money for your family. Yeah. And I would also take that a little step further, like, why? Having that more, this different number in your bank account, right? Having this different number, and I would really suggest you know what that number is. And so they say, well, that's limiting. So write the number. If you want to see $50,000 in your checking account, you say, I'm so happy and grateful that I see $50,000 in my bank account or more by this specific date, right? But have a specific number. Have a specific number and then be like, what is this going to do? Seeing that $50,000 in my account, you got to connect to it like at a feeling level, on a feeling. What does that mean? If I've got $50,000 in my checking account, right? Like, what are those things? And then I would even get to the deeper root and say, okay, braces, home, car, safe, blah, 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 all these things that are wonderful. But what is that then? And I'll tell you that for a lot of my clients that want to change their money situation, it's not everyone's goal that comes into my program, but there are a few. They're like, I really want to change my money situation. And these are the ones that I posted, like, they wanted to change their income. This was so important to them. It was their goals they came into the program with. Not everybody comes in and says, I want to change my money situation this specific way. But I will share that a lot of people in the program, their money situation changes anyway, because their consciousness and vibration of life changes. And so underneath that list of, okay, this amount of money is going to do this. What does that mean to you in your soul? Some of the answers that are common, just to give you context, to get your brain going, it's like, I'm a good mom. That can be something that shows up for people underneath this list. If I've got this much money and I'm taking care and I can afford all this stuff, I'm a good mom. At the root of it was a worthiness issue, a wondering if they're good enough for their kids. At the bottom of it, it could be, I'm a good steward. Jesus taught me to be a good steward of what I have and that I would get more. And this is what this means to me. It means that I am doing well as a disciple of Jesus Christ and I'm being a good steward of what I have, right? Get real vulnerable, spiritual, personal about what's underneath that list. Thank you for sharing that, Becca. And here's the other thing. A lot of women who grew up in a typical, not even typical, traditional Christian setting may have seen the male figure being the sole breadwinner and the mother figure stayed home. And like, I'm raising these children while you bring home the bacon, right? That is very common. What's awesome though, is that we now know so fully from science, spirituality, whatever, that the energetics of the maternal side of this partnership matters. It matters greatly to the finances of the home. So I've seen clients where they didn't start a business. They didn't go to work. They didn't do really a ton of stuff different in that way, like exchanging their time for money. They didn't do something really big and different, but their energy changed their energy shifted around money, which then changes the conversations they have with their spouse about money. It changes conversations around so many things. And it sometimes I've seen just a client recently where her spouse applied for a job that they knew the job was available, but they did not together believe that he could apply, like that he was qualified. And through just shifting the energetics of their relationship and their trust with each other, he applied for the job and he got it. Doubled their income overnight. Like, and it wasn't that that opportunity was never there. It was a mindset within their partnership that shifted their opportunities. Okay, so this is the mindset we want to come into these 5 principles with. That energetically, it matters. Energetically, it matters. Okay, Kristen says, yeah, she wants to be able to self-support. She needs about $3,500 a month. Okay, this is really good. So get present, guys. Get really present, because just know it's your energetics around the money situation, the money conversations. Do you know your reasons underneath the possessions, right? What's going on energetically and spiritually underneath the possessions that you will get with this energetic exchange of money that's already there, by the way. All the money you need is already done. It's already there. God created everything a long time ago. You just have not chosen it. Keep that in mind. This is the mindset we want to be in moving into these 5 principles I'm going to teach you today. And if you struggle getting into that, that's where I put in my post, the personal coaching of the program. It helps you, enables you, empowers you, whatever, edifies you to get into that state often. Everything we teach in the program will get you into that state to be able to be present with your money conversations, be aware of your energetics around your money situations, and all of those things. Okay, so the principles I'm going to teach, but just know there is this other piece. You got to come into the program to get it, because it's a lot of support. It's all there. And those that have been clients in the program or current clients, you can testify of that. So where I was before I started doubling my income every year. And this was about, I would say 8 years ago. And those of you that have listened to my other money classes, I explain set points a lot, like a lot more expansive. So you can go watch some of those other ones if money is something. Just inside the Elevated Mother Collective group, there's a search feature. Search any topic, income, money, energetics, like different stuff like that. And you'll see the different classes that we've already done. But where I was, and I will tell you, I was not a very good dreamer. Anyone else? I was, and it's not, I'm not blaming anyone, but this was my modeling growing up, was to be practical. Practicality trumps all. To be frugal was being practical, and you were celebrated for how frugal you could be. Oh, you can make another thing out of that thing that we, like, what's the quote? Something about like, use it up, use it again, drop it out. I don't know. There's some great quote that's like playing in the back of my mind, but like, somebody knows that, you can put it in the chat, but something about using things over and over and over until it like falls apart. And I'm not judging that. I think that using things for the purpose which they were used and using them well and taking care of them is a great quality. I think that is a great thing that people can do. I now no longer, though, make it moral. Do you see the difference? It's no longer moral to me. If I just really don't like those shoes, I go get different ones. Instead of, well, I should just use them until they break. But that was the modeling I grew up with. It doesn't matter if your clothes are completely out of style and you hate them and they give you a wedgie. They don't have holes. You wear them. Use it up, wear it out, make do or do without. Kristen knew. Maybe that's a Utah thing. I don't know. Because anyway, so do you see the difference there? But that's where I was for a long time. Like the first 28, 30 years of my life was in this box of you use it because you have it, because you should be grateful. No, because you're humble. Like these Christian words that we want to throw out there to like somehow say we're being good disciples of Jesus because we're wearing shoes that we hate. But that's where I was. I was so practical, and I believed that that was morally right. That was what I was modeled in my home, from my grandparents, generationally. That was morally correct with God, is how practical you could be. But what I've learned, guys, is practicality is relative. What one person thinks, oh, Kristen's like, no, it's California, that's right. I forgot. Probably because you live in Utah right now, but anyway. Making it moral of like, how practical can you be was celebrated. It was part of the culture of the place I even grew up in. Now that I'm like having memories of like even my teachers in elementary school talking about making do with things. Like this was just, and I grew up in northern Utah for anyone that is curious, but it was just this idea. It was just like, oh, you need to be practical. And so when I started reading books about expanding your mind, and I started reading books about, this is just 8 years ago, you guys, a lot can happen in 8 years. And it's so interesting because I shared again in that it's a class called How I Tripled Our Income. And you can see that for like a good long span of our marriage, our income did not change. And I talk about in that video how that was a set point of belief within us. It had nothing to do with opportunities, nothing, okay? But you'll see that we had this long period of time where we were being very practical, even though prices around us were going up, we're having more children, we're having more medical things. When you have a group of 7 people, the chances of somebody having medical issues, more than one probably, is high. Like it's just the way of humanity. That's stats for you, right? Like 3 in 10 humans has major medical issues. And it's just like, well, so then we started not traveling. We started not putting kids in soccer. We started not doing our dental work. We started not doing things, right? Like, because what do? You just, you tighten your belts. That's another phrase from my modeling. We tighten our belts and we pull up our bootstraps and we just go through it. It's just hard. And I even hear that all over social media. Life sucks. Life is just hard. Guys, that is so low vibe. Like, but for me, I believe a lot of this was that I was just not a dreamer. I did not grow up having a mom that said a lot. I don't doubt she said it sometimes because she was an incredible mother, but it wasn't in our home to be like, what do you dream of? What are your biggest dreams? And even in school, if a teacher asked me that, or in a different context, like someone's like, what are your dreams? I immediately was like, what do they want me to hear? What will they be proud of if I say it? It took me until I was 29 years old to actually ask myself, full on honesty, what do you really want, Robyn? What do you really want? And if you guys haven't asked yourself that question, it's not, what is my husband going to think about that? What will my mom think about that? What will my church leader think about that? What do you think about it? That's where I was. Anyone else? Anyone else? We'll be done by 11, Nikki. Totally. We're going to be totally done. Has anyone else struggled to really dream? To truly let your mind run wild with possibilities for you? Because when I sat and really let my mind go, it felt irresponsible. On a physical plane, it was actually hard for me to dream. Am I the only one? Kristen says yes. Thank you. It was hard for me to truly let go and dream for myself, not, oh, my family would love this. Like, what do I really want? Like, just me. This is my one physical mortal experience. What do I really, really want? And even now saying that, I feel that familiar feeling in my gut, like deep into my belly, right? My, what do they call it, your solar plexus? Like, just like, ooh, there's a fire. I used to not let it burn. That feeling used to scare me. It was scary. It was scary to believe that I had possibilities. It was scary to believe that I had capacity, because going back to that belief that said, oh, practicality. Well, if you can, then you should. Anyone heard that? Well, if you can, then you should. Ooh. So if I can change the world, then I'm all of a sudden accountable. Right? Like, really, like, Jenny, she's 42. I don't think I've ever allowed myself to dream. Ooh, Heather says, yeah, it felt culturally wrong to want more, right? Bloom where you're planted. Be grateful for what you have. These are great ideas to challenge that come from a lot of cultural thinking. When you study Jesus, man, oh man, you'll find the truth. So interesting. I'm glad that I'm not the only one. So what happened? What happened where I was willing to change? Because this is where you guys got to get to, right? Everybody has to, you have to get to that place that says the pain of staying the same and believing this is really kind of getting big. The idea of change and accepting new ideas is looking more and more like maybe what I want to do. So the pain of staying the same starts to get bigger than the perceived pain of changing. Okay? That's where you got to get to. You got to get to that place that says, and sometimes for many people, you read about it, you hear about it, there's movies made about it. People typically need a big eye-opening experience, but not everyone does. There are so many wise people that didn't have to do that. They faced death. They had a big car wreck. They had a tragedy. Someone close to them died. They themselves had a big medical emergency. Like, something happens to people that they say, no more. I will not be chained by this anymore. And that's when they arrive at the door that Jesus talks about, that he's like, just knock. Like, you gotta knock. This is our agency. We choose to be different. And so a lot of times we come back and we say, you know what? I had this choice all along, but it took this event for me to. So for me, what really happened is I wasn't okay with practical anymore. I started getting into circles. I joined a business, a network marketing company, where I was thrust into these Zoom calls and retreats and these different things where I was hearing different ideas. And I will tell you that this doesn't mean it's easy, but this, I believe, is part of the process, is surrounding yourself with people that have new ideas, like, for you to accept. And I was not okay with practical anymore. I was like, whatever this is, whatever box I've been living in is not okay. I want to be a soccer mom. I want to watch my little girl be a a ballet person, a ballerina. She had dreams of being a ballerina. And I couldn't afford to put her in there. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, how did I get in this box of believing that I can't have more? What is that? I was willing at that point to question it. And this is principle one. If you're taking notes, this is number one, is to dream, to allow your brain some freedom from limits. Stop yourself when you go, but what if this happened? Well, what if they say, well, what if she, woo. What's happening there, my friend, is you're taking responsibility for someone else's experience. Let's start only taking responsibility for yours. Jesus clearly taught we are agents unto ourselves. We choose for ourselves. When you start taking care of the experience of other people, this is not what Jesus taught ever. He said to love. Loving someone doesn't mean taking their agency and deciding how this is going to affect them and then acting that out. Do you see how that happens? Okay. So when you say, but what about this person's experience? And what about this? Principle number one, you're taking notes. If you want to change your money, you have got to dream. You have got to drop the limitations of the what ifs and the what abouts and just let yourself float. What would I really do? What I really want? And just let yourself dream. That is principle number one, to dream. Okay. And if those what ifs come up and the what about that's come up, put them on a piece of paper because you will want to do that work. People say, Robyn, how do you decide which podcast to listen to? How do you decide which mentor to go to? I will look at my list of what ifs that come up and I know the work I need to do. Because if I'm like, well, what about my daughter? I'm like, whoa, I'm involved in somebody else's business. I need to go remind myself about that. How did that creep in? What's actually the underlying fear there that I feel like I need to take responsibility for her experience? Whoa, right? These are the kinds of things I'll take that list. I dream big and I take that list of these little things, these little limitations that want to come up, and I know that's where my work is. That's what I want to take to the coach. That's what I want to take to the podcast and learn from somebody, right? So that was principle number one. Principle number two, when you have your dream and you've looked at it, and then there might be lots of pieces. There might be lots of pieces. It might have something about relationships, love. You might have something about your marriage. You might have something about your faith. You might have something about travel. You might have something about a personal, maybe you're going to write a book, right? Becca Ingersoll, maybe you're going to write a book. Maybe you're going to open a restaurant. Like whatever it is, there's something amazing. It's amazing that your brain has conceived. Hold it there as long as possible on the screen of your mind. And principle number two says, where's my self-concept here? Meaning, if this was true, if I make the bestseller book and I'm on a book tour and I have people sending me letters and I am like getting press for this, is my current self-concept up to the task? Like, can this feel normal for me? If I have $100,000 in my bank account today, right now, am I up to the task? How does that feel to me? Does it feel beautiful and absolutely deserved? Or does it feel scary? Do I feel like that's a big responsibility? You see, your self-concept needs to adjust for this new thing. This is a step I missed for a long time. But now, I now keep a list, and we do this in the program. We flesh this out really, really good. Who do I need to be then? It's all in there. It's all in you, right? It's what's the version of myself that's going to have, $80,000 coming from me? What's the version of myself that's going to make the $3,500 a month? What are the beliefs I'm holding now that don't match this? What does this version of myself believe? What are her thoughts? It's amazing the limiting beliefs people put on themselves. Okay. Like we could talk about that forever. I was talking to someone in network marketing. I don't grow mine anymore. I still have it. It's a great passive income for me, but I don't grow it anymore. But I did grow it really well. There's 6 figures before. And so I can do a little coaching and network marketing, but I was like, what's going on? And she's like, well, I have this goal where I want 5 new clients a month. And I was like, okay, well, how's that working out for you? What's your big goal? And she's like, well, I want to make 6 figures. And I said, well, what's this 5 people a month then? You can't get to 6 figures doing 5 people a month. And she's like, well, that feels really big to me. I said, yeah, but it's not big enough. She's like, what? Like she had limited herself to 5 people. So thereby she will never reach her 6-figure goal in that particular company. Like in the timeline, she wanted to reach it that year. And I'm like, no, you'll probably reach it in like 6. She's like, oh, well, I want it this year. And I said, well, then we get to change that number. She had limited her income by saying, I can only handle 5 people. So we got to work on her mindset that said, why only 5? Why can't you do 12? 12 will get you to 6 figures this year. So then she's like, okay, if I bring in 12 people a month, I need to streamline this process. And do you see how her brain solved it for her? She knew, she knew once she had the dream, once she matched up the self-concept, she's like, oh, well, if I'm bringing in 12 people, I'm going to need a binder. I'm probably going to have to streamline this process because right now it takes me a day. And like her brain, once she asked it the right question, our brain will answer anything. It's incredible. Mixed with the spirit, man, you're unstoppable. But she met the self-concept. She started, if this is true for me, she released those limitations of 5 people per month and was like, I got to get 12 because I'm getting 6 figures. All of a sudden the belief changed. Okay, this is principle number 3. So principle 1 was dream. Principle 2, become aware of your self-concept and where's the adjustments need to be made. Principle 3, have your self-concept meet the dream. So this kind of goes into both of them, but it's its own category, okay? What is the why of your dream? And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like, what is the why of the dream? Like, get underneath that. For this, for this person, let's just say, and we didn't get to this point, but I'm just going to guess. She's like, I want 6 figures this year. I happen to know she's a single mother. And I can imagine that some of her whys was like, I want vacation with my kids. Why? I want memories with my children. Why? Because I want them to have a present mother emotionally and physically. That's what it came down to. She believed that this kind of money experience would allow her to be more physically and emotionally present with her children versus the job she was in and trying to be so spread thin around these people. And if she believes that, then she is right. And that's important. So you have to know like what's under here, because this is the self-concept. This is what you believe about yourself. That I am not being the best for this example. I'm not being the best emotionally available mother or physically present mother in this current situation. So this self-concept and this dream have now met my soul level belief that I want to hold about myself. What is the self-concept that I want to hold? That I am physically and mentally available to my children. This is what I want the memory to be. This is why we're going to go to Disneyland. And this is why I'm going to have money to do it. And I'm not going to stress. And it's going to be great. All of a sudden, she's got all the motivation she needs to go and connect with those 12 people. You see, like a lot of people, they don't do these steps, guys. If you want to change, you don't have to have a business. So if there's a concept or if there's a context you guys are struggling with, put it in the chat. Like if you're like, well, I don't own a business or I don't have this. I promise these principles still are the same. It's still the same. If you are like, oh, my husband is going to come upon this great opportunity, if that's what he's going for, right? You can't make him have his experience. That's why some women do end up starting a business, realizing they can't control their husband's experience. If he's choosing to have a $30,000 a year experience and you're not okay with that, it's not his duty to change. He's not responsible for your experience. He's responsible to you to be honest to you, to be, loving and caring. But if his experience says, I'm doing a $30,000 experience, and yours says, I would like $100,000 experience, then you get to be the one to make that happen. You see, but I will share with you that a lot of times when when the feminine partner, when the female partner comes over here and starts shifting, he takes note and he goes, he might take that next promotion. And then you might take that other thing too. It's like, oh man, this is fun. And all of a sudden you're both making 100,000 and now you're making 2. I've seen this. I have seen this happen. So even though it can feel like it's unfair or something, when you get to show up a little more for this dream that is yours, a lot of times they rise to the occasion too. Okay. So in the home, if you're like, well, I don't want a business, but I do want to change our money situation. So you have a dream and then you have your self-concept and say, okay, how do we shift the vibration of our home to a home of more affluence, to a home where opportunities just show up for us? What does that look like for me? I probably need to be a little less stressed. I probably need to take my self-care a little more carefully because I see my husband's not even doing self-care. That will change his income situation, guaranteed. What can I do to raise my vibe? My self-concept, being the partner of a 6-figure home, what does that look like? What am I doing in this home to support a 6-figure home or a 7-figure home, a $500,000 home, whatever that is? And you start doing this and then you say, why? Why does this matter? See how it's the same? The principles are the same. It's in our individual coaching that we discover the pieces for you, but the principle is always the same. Okay. The principle is always the same. Brianna says, I needed to hear it. I'm mad about Josh making the amount he's making because I feel like we're being used. Yeah, that can happen. I planned my jobs, Kristen says, and scheduled for the fall. I thought I was going to be set. And as of this week, my jobs are not giving the hours they promised. That's a boundary thing. That is a boundary thing. You get to go in and ask them why they're not giving the hours they promised, right? This is you showing up for yourself and saying, this is what I needed. This is what you said. I don't see it. Tell me why. In a very neutral way. And if they give you the reasons and it's not panning out, then you go get a different job. You know what I mean? There's a different opportunity. Principle number 4 is set point awareness. And I'm going to redirect you to that class. I don't know if Heather Shoemaker is on, but there's a class in here that's like how, several of them I talked about set points, how to change your income, how to triple your income, all these different things. I know we're talking about doubling our income today. And so this is where, on my how I tripled our income this year, right? From just the 70s from a couple years ago to now we're going to hit 300,000. And it's like, I had to change my self-concept. That video talks a lot more about the self-concept of meeting what's happening in your life and where you're going and what's really going on. Okay. You bet, Kristen, you bet. And I had you always have a set point. So if you're like, man, my income has not changed for a long time, you're at a set point. You're accepting this. You're accepting that $4,000 a month is all you need, right? You've set that limitation. $4,000 is all I need. And you may say that for a long time. My husband and I thought we hit the jackpot when he got a job that was over $50,000 a year. Our dreams weren't very big at that time. But it was okay because we both grew up with parents that made $38,000. So it was like, oh, wait, if we want to live the life we want to live, and inflation, we need to be reaching more towards 200,000 a year. We want to travel and we want to save and we want to give to charities and we want to be able to, there's all these things in our dreams and we're like, oh, then we get to shift our self-concept. We get to shift our energies. We get to shift our goals and we get to shift our set point. It's not okay anymore to do 4,000. You know, we got to start doing 8,000 and 10,000 and 20,000 a month. Like, so if you want to double your income, look at what your numbers have been for a while and double that. Put that number down. If you're like, you know, say you're making 160,000 right now, it's like, that means we'd be making over 300,000. Write it down. Believe it. Knock and it shall be open. Ask and ye shall receive. Why are we not asking? It's there. $300,000 is there. It's all over the world. It's for you. It's got your name on it as soon as you identify with it. Okay? Like, double that number. Double it, because if you've been at a set point like this, you're like, man, I'd really love to double our income. You've got to start looking at that number. You have got to start identifying with that number. Oh, we're a household that brings in 300,000. Okay, then how do I show up supporting a $300,000 home? What kind of things do we look at? What kind of accounts do I have prepared to open? Have you actually prepared the field for that? Double that number, okay? So where's your set point been? This is step 4. Double that number. And it's also going to be really, really beneficial for you to ask questions like, why is this number comfortable? And why is that number uncomfortable? Jesus never set an income point that said this point is evil. If you make 100 million a month, well, that's Satan's playground. No, there is no income level that is evil. Stop making this moral, right? I love it when I think it was Melissa up on the chat said somewhere around like it feels wrong to want more. Why? Who said having more income was wrong? Who said? And so you say, well, it's my desire, it's my want. Why? Who said that? Who said that you wanting to progress in your life and be different and have a different experience was wrong? I'm going to tell you that is Satan. That is a lie. That is a lie. That he likes to whisper to people that want to be small. I don't know, like it's like, what? He'll whisper on these fears. But Jesus Christ never said that there was some income level or experience of this life that's progressive and wonderful. And someone read the parable of the talents, for heaven's sake. The person that buried their talent and never grew was chastised. Right? Like, what the heck? Not earning more money does not give you some points on a scoreboard in heaven. What is this? Nobility and poverty? There are millions. There's so many people, you guys. There are so many people becoming millionaires every year because they have rejected thoughts like that. And I am on my way to being one of those, because for a long time, and these were questions I had to ask myself. What is wrong with earning $100,000? What is wrong with a mom of 5 working from home on her chair in her little room in Idaho earning $2 million? Is there something wrong with that? Is it just that I haven't identified with it? Something about myself hasn't identified with this. What is that? So you can go and study under all these coaches. You can go and get all this stuff, but if you have not identified with the end dream, you haven't even had the dream, and you haven't found the spiritual piece for you, and you haven't shifted the set point like consciously, you will never get there. You say, well, it just doesn't work for me. Worked for all those people, but it just doesn't work for me. See, all these people becoming millionaires. Why can't that be you? Like, really, why can't that be your family? Ask yourself those questions. Really? Like, ask yourself that question. What am I believing? What am I believing? That this is the only job I could ever have? That I'm unqualified? So then start a list that says, what do I need to get to be qualified? Like, and Do I really need that? Do I really need this qualification? Like, is this really set in stone that I cannot do that thing without this qualification? Or is this me having an ego problem that says I need so many certifications for people to believe what I say? I can't even tell you guys how many entrepreneurs tell me that. Well, I've got my master's here and I've got my PhD over here, but I think I need one more master's in that before I tell people I can serve them. I think I need 75 blog posts before I can start advertising. I think I need 30 already done recorded podcasts before I launch. I think I need a website and a social media manager before I start sharing my message of hope and strength and love. Don't get stuck in the qualification limitation, friends. Friends, I am positive that I have read more books about psychology than a psychologist. I don't have a psychology degree. I have lots of people that ask me, do you have a psychology degree? You speak like a therapist. I'm like, no, but I've probably read every book they've read and more. It's okay. I don't need the piece of paper. I don't need the piece of paper, Jesus never had a great certificate that said, you are a life changer. You are now allowed to be a prophet. Like he just showed up for his mission in full, never denying who he was and what he was there for. He may have spoken parable, but he was there for it. Okay. Principle number 5, and then we're done. Get the ball rolling. Take action. Choose a vehicle, right? Get the dream, sit and ponder with yourself. Let your brain do what it is designed to do, and it will come up with a solution. It will come up with a vehicle. Is this a network marketing business? Is this something you want to do of your own self? A pottery business, wood turning, dog walking, like whatever it is. There's some vehicle that may come up that is more of an entrepreneurial adventure. It may be, you know what? I need to change my attitude about my husband, because guess what? I've done a whole video, I think, about that, or at least there's a couple posts. Before I jumped into entrepreneurship full on like I am today, I started appreciating my husband, appreciating why he chose to do what he did. I thought, you know what? I was so mad at his job for so long. But when I started looking at it, I thought, you know what? He's never worked weekends. He always has 2 weeks off for Christmas. He has a great work environment. Nobody uses a lot of, we really value clean language. So we don't have a lot of cursing and swearing in our home. And he also has that at his work, and he values that. And as I started thinking about the benefits and I started appreciating it, little jabs, little passive aggressive things stopped coming out of me. Anger towards anything that was happening stopped coming. But you know what? He's valuing our family. I want him here for dinner. I want him to be able to support us on the weekends with all these things. And he's sticking with this job because it's supporting that. I started appreciating it. And guess what? He got a raise. I kept appreciating it. And his whole income structure changed, and the company started getting profit sharing. That changed things. And it was because his attitude of his own job started to shift with my energy. He made those choices. But because we were back in the day, we were so emotionally dependent with each other that how I felt about something really affected him, and how he felt about something really affected me. We have since stopped those behaviors, and we're very much whole people. But I know a lot of couples have not made that work. They haven't done that yet. So they're still pretty emotionally enmeshed with their decisions and what they do. But I can testify that when you start appreciating where your husband's at and what he's doing, it will shift the game. So that's the action, right? Step number 5 is take action. Get the ball rolling. If that means you go through these steps, I'm gonna dream, don't let myself concept, take action. Don't just take these notes, set it aside, and leave. Okay. Choose your vehicle, because this is the law of compensation. You ready to get this? The law of compensation, the law of the harvest says you will be compensated by the level of impact that you make in the world. This is what Jesus was teaching with the law of harvest. This is what he was teaching about effort. This is what he's teaching in the parable of the talents. Like, you will be compensated by your level of impact in the world, by you showing up, progressing, changing your kids' lives, maybe changing your neighbor, maybe, you know what I mean? Providing a service with your unique way that changes the world. You will be compensated at the level of impact you make on the world. So choose the vehicle, whether you're impacting your husband, who then impacts thousands of people, whether you're impacting your children and their ambiance and their environment with you being their caregiving mother, like, that will change the world. I know this. Maybe it's you choosing to open a business, and that's a vehicle where you are going to impact directly from yourself to a group of people. Okay. Be willing, as Jesus said, to shine your light. Be willing. The women in my program that have changed their finances, they were willing to shine. They were not willing to just take the low-hanging fruit. They were willing to shine, to put some effort in, to do some scary things, to change their boundaries, to change their self-concept. It's awesome. They get to do it in this safe space, full of support, full of other women that are doing that. They're showing up on these calls, getting vulnerable about, I'm scared about that. What's happening? It's awesome. Okay. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify God. Okay. So this might mean you start communicating a little better with your spouse. You start doing that personal work. They started showing up for themselves, keeping those commitments to themselves. They said they're going to work out. They start working out. They say they're going to eat more salads. They start eating more salads. They say they're going to get their budget under control. They get their budget under control. Like, they start taking action with full belief. They start letting their light shine. They start taking full accountability and showing up. Okay. You will always get more when you expand. So a lot of times people are not experiencing an expansion in their income. They personally, as a person, as a couple, as a home, as a unit, like, they aren't expanding. There's something there, right? Their dream is too small. Their self-concept doesn't match a bigger dream, and they feel dissonance. They feel they'll start something and stop. They put a lot of effort and then see, they're in this cycle. They find themselves at the same set point, the same struggles year after year after year. These are the 5 principles. These are the 5 principles. So getting to the root of everything, having the support, that's in the program. Okay. You can find it in other places too. But I'm just letting you know there is something set up for that, but you do get to make an exchange for that kind of exchange from someone else, right? And so just be aware. But if you're ready, if you're like, dude, I want to be surrounded by people like this. I've got some big dreams. I've got some big goals, and I'm ready to change my self-concept and my dreams and make them match. Put ready in the chat, and I'll reach out. We can just have a chat and see if this is really what you want to do. We'll lay out the plan, see if it looks like what you want to do. And if it's not, then you don't, right? But I do invite you to consider that there is a different way. There is a different way. And if you want to double your income, it is completely possible within a year. This doesn't have to be a long thing. I have only been running this program in this way for a couple of years. So all the results and stuff that you're seeing from this particular program, like, this is right. This is here. This is happening for people. Just one last little thought, and then we're going to go. But I was watching this the other day. Somebody was like, yeah, this is such a hard month for people. Everything's down. And I was like, what world do you live in? We've had one of our best, happiest months ever. Like, it just goes to show the power of who you're listening to and what circles you're in. It is. Proximity matters. Who you're listening to matters. What kind of world you're deciding to live in, it matters. It just matters. All right, guys, you guys are amazing. Good job, Justine. Beautiful comments, you guys. I love it. Have a really good weekend. Any more comments or questions on this, continue to post them. And come back to this video, watch it again, because there may have been one or two of those principles that hit you hard and then you were more distracted before you really could get into another principle. Watch it again. And those that are on the replay, again, put your comments in. We want to hear you. Yes, retreat is next week. I'm going to see somebody. I'm so excited. All right. Have a good weekend.